Welcome to the Saints Happy Hour podcast, featuring Dave Cariello, Andrew Juge, Ralph Malbrough, and, when he decides to show up, Kevin Held. We are the perfect blend of Saints sincerity and stupidity.
Oh, now that's a good question. That is a damn good question. You see, Ralph, that's why you're the host.
That is a good question by me. Usually I just stumble over it and you say, is there a question in there? And I'm like, not really.
And now, here's your host, Ralph Malbrough.
All right, everybody, welcome to a special Sunday night edition of the Saints Happy Hour podcast. We're going on Sunday just because we couldn't wait to talk about what happened to the Saints in Atlanta on Thanksgiving. Look, I know that Jim Henderson was a poet and as a Saints play-by-play guy. And I know Zach Streif, Andrew, friend of the program, friend of you get inside information from him on the Twitters occasionally. He's been really good as a play-by-play. But I submit to you that this is the greatest call in Saints history, courtesy of some German network that did the Thursday night game.
Oh, interception! Matt Ryan! Oh mein Gott! Wie eine Puppe gibt ihn den Stiffarm und fliegt auf den Boden. Hör doch mal auf.
I
So,
just
Dave.
love how they giggle like little girls. I just love it. And then it just makes me giggle.
I thought it
love how
sounded
you-
like the
they
Joker.
Sneak in the word stiff arm at the end there. It's like the only thing I can understand.
Yeah,
Besides,
apparently.
oh my God.
Apparently in German, the word for stiff arm is stiff arm.
Kevin, I thought it
And
sounded
also
like the Joker
interception.
revealing a devious plot. What did you think it sounded like?
Matt Ryan!
So good. Dave,
Those Germans always making us laugh.
Should the show just be us replaying that like 50 times and then
people are getting mad about the sound effects. Somebody DM'd me and said I needed to go to rehab because I played the sound effects too much. He said it's like Tony Satchery's. It's great, but if you go too much, it ruins it. I don't know, man. I have an itchy trigger finger. I want to play it again. But Dave, my question to you is, are they going to induct Shy Tuttle into the Saints Ring of Honor before the 49er game or at halftime?
They're going to do it at halftime. Just give extra motivation mid-game. Yeah, no, that was awesome. That's going to go down in history. There's a lot of good Thanksgiving moments. There was Malcolm Jenkins. There was the Jenksgiving Day miracle where he ran down. Who was that on the Cowboys? Who was the
Roy
receiver?
Williams.
Roy. I knew you guys. I knew one of you guys would remember that. That was a good one. This one is definitely going to go down in history. I mean, it's just going to be. It's so meme. It's perfect for memes. It's just like such a perfect format.
Kevin, does it surpass the buttception?
Ooh, man.
Yes.
The fact that it was for the division on Thanksgiving, I think kind of increases the magnitude of it.
I mean, here's the thing. I think the buttception has it for like degree of difficulty. Hang on a minute. I got to move my plate here. The dog is eating up my chicken tender crumbs.
It's not the food; it's the Shy Tuttle commentary that's got your dog excited.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, I actually wish I could have those Germans in my house just commentating the random shit that I do. And
Oh, he left the plate down. Oh no, another dog is going to eat it. Oh.
and occasionally laughing like when some random woman just comes wandering into my house. That would be good too. Yeah. God, the buttception is so good though. The buttception was so good. I guess.
Good.
Fuck it. I'll go with this because I mean the Germans really put it over the top.
Yo, I wonder if we can get these guys on the show. We should try to track these guys down and get them to give us 20 minutes.
Do they speak English?
Doesn't matter.
I mean,
Brett can see English? I mean, look, all they got to do is just say Matt. All they got to do is understand like half a thing, and that's about it.
Do we have any listeners who can speak German who could translate for us?
I feel like most Germans can speak English.
Yeah, they have a real good education system.
Oh, Deception! Matt Ryan! Oh mein Gott! Wie eine Puppe gibt er ihn den Stiffarm und er fliegt auf den Boden. Hör doch mal auf.
Here's the thing, right? It's so perfect because I think it's going to live. I think it's potentially going to live as long as 28-3 because it's so memeable. Because you can just mash it up with anything. I saw somebody mash it up with the Orange County housewives. The woman screaming and the cat, and they had the woman screaming and Shy Tuttle just stiff arming Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Ralph. I don't watch that. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like one of the 900 varieties of the Real Housewives of Orange County on Bravo.
I'm surprised Dave hasn't made a shirt of it yet, of the stiff arm.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
it's the holidays. Idea. Dave wasn't working, right? You'll get on that tomorrow.
No, I wasn't working Thursday, and then I had to fly out Friday for the Tulane game, then worked Saturday, home Sunday.
I'm serious. If you know who these announcers are, you can help us find them. I want them on the show. So please find us on Twitter. Let us know where they are. I want them on the show. I want them talking about that play. It'll live forever.
Kevin, has the special teams coach of the Saints got fired? Because I think Atlanta just recovered another onside kick. It's the only bad thing about Thursday.
Hang on a minute. The defense was getting penalized out the ass. Receivers not named Mike Thomas. Some catch.
You guys aren't going to start with this shit, right?
No, hang on. Look, let me just get it all out.
Wait, what shit? What, we're not allowed to complain?
I know. I mean, it's just you guys are fucking unbelievable. It's just like 10-2. We went on the road on 4 days of rest, beat the Falcons. I'm not going to go through this whole rant again. You guys know this all by heart by now. But, and I will say I agree to some extent that there was some stuff about that game. It was way closer than it should have been. And the Saints should have put them away many times over, and it was frustrating that it got to the level that it did where it was uncomfortable at the end. So I give you guys that. But
I'm not coming out here saying that they're not a Super Bowl team or anything like that. I'm just saying you can't just say the only problem was the two fuck ups on the onside kicks. Like there were problems. There were problems that do have to be addressed. I mean, y'all have said it on the podcast that it seems like the team kind of took their foot off the gas a little when Drew came back because maybe they felt they could lean on him more. But
yeah,
there are problems that have to be addressed, and
are there problems, or is it just Jared Cook needed to catch the fucking ball? Like, if he makes a couple of those catches that hit him in the hands.
Kamara dropped 2, Ginn dropped a touchdown, Cook dropped 2, Michael Thomas dropped a couple. I mean, it's just like I thought Breeze actually played well in this game. I thought the receivers screwed him over, and that was a big reason why Atlanta stayed in the game was just the number of drop passes. So that was part of it. But look. You guys can't talk me out of being on cloud 9. Like LSU just went 12-0. Joe Burrow is going to win the Heisman for the fucking first time since 1958 or whatever.
Right, well, that has nothing to do with the Saints.
It doesn't matter. I'm on cloud 9. The Saints are 10-2. They're in first place. They're the only team in the NFC that's clinched a division. If Seattle wins tomorrow night, by the way, the Saints will be first because the 49ers will drop to 5th in the standing. So right now, the Saints, like, they could lose to San Francisco, and as long as Seattle stays ahead of them, the Saints still own the tiebreaker over Seattle, and all they have to do is catch Seattle to win the conference. So the bottom line is, like, we can talk about what's wrong with the Saints and how they are tragically flawed and they're not going to win a Super Bowl. We're going to find out pretty quick. They play the 49ers next Sunday, and if the 49ers are really as good as everyone seems to think they are, and they come into New Orleans and they kick our teeth in, then yes, we will come on this podcast and we will have to reassess things. But until then, the Saints are 10-2. They're in first place in the conference, and I'm going to enjoy it. Sorry.
Drew Brees carved up the Texans, and Brady looks fucking abominable versus them. I'm just saying. Dave,
you don't feel like they. My thing, just in general, the bigger picture. I mean, I could nitpick about the penalties and obviously some shitty officiating, which hasn't gone our way. But I mean, I think the bigger picture is I just feel like they don't have that killer instinct to, like, just close out teams. Like, they don't have that. Like, they're not blowing teams out, and even when they are winning, they're doing stupid shit like, allowing 2 onside kicks. I mean, I just feel like
don't forget hands to the face.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, that's more officiating, I think. Most of the penalties in this game against the Falcons, that was on the Saints. I mean, that was just stupid shit. That was Lattimore and Eli Apple.
Dude, Eli Apple had a rough game.
Yeah, I mean, that was legitimate shit. But anyway, I just feel like they're kind of just lacking that killer instinct, that just to put teams away, and that's what just makes me nervous when we have to start playing, better teams like the Niners in the playoffs.
Kevin, I could be wrong about this, but I just think this Sunday at home, the Saints are going to play a better quality opponent. They know they're not going to be able to dick around like they have been with some of these teams, and they're going to play their best football of the year. And they're going to shut all of Saints Twitter up. The national media is going to be all over their junk. I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Well,
hey, look, nothing would make me happier than the Saints coming out and playing a great game, and either, I don't care if they win by 1, I don't care if they blow the doors off the 49ers, but playing a good game and coming out on top, I would love it.
Well,
I love being proven wrong on anything like this. I enjoy it. I'm not one. I don't run from it. I'm like, hey, if I think that the Saints are going to lose, or if I think that the Saints are going to struggle, and they don't, great. I fucking love it.
Well, here's the thing with San Francisco. People that just started, a lot of people, they jumped on the Saints bandwagon. They've only been a Saints fan since 2005, 2006, or even if you're 30, you don't really understand. You think San Francisco is Vernon Davis and that's it. San Francisco is like a bugaboo or a arch rival. It can be 49ers hate week this week because they have scars. I mean, if you're 35 to 40, the 49ers own the Saints from like the late 80s to the late 90s. But here's a question that I wanted to talk to you guys about that we've talked about a bunch of times, and I can't remember if it was Kevin who did the rant or maybe it was Andrew. Drew Brees has been fucked over for the MVP like three separate times, right? And the media always moves the goalpost. Well, we've never really had a discussion of a Saints player being defensive player of the year because the Saints defense is usually atrocious, and even when they've been good the last 3 years, they haven't had a player sort of transcend that level. Cam Jordan had 4 sacks. He leads the NFL in sacks. So my question to you, Kevin, is how
I didn't even fucking know that.
How is the NFL going to How is the NFL going to fuck over Cam Jordan and move the goalpost and deny him Defensive Player of the Year?
Shit.
Well, it's easy. It's easy. He doesn't play for the Patriots.
Right.
It's a good answer.
I mean, don't you think the NFL's going to be like, hey, great season. Your statistics are off the charts. Wait a minute. Do you play for the Patriots? No, I don't play for the Patriots.
Yeah, but
well, I guess you can't be MVP of the defense.
But the
then.
Patriots are losing tonight, so they'll go to 10-2. So if the Saints end up with the same record as New England, and Cam Jordan leads the NFL in sacks and gets to like 18 or 17, I think he's got a really good shot over Gilmore for New England. But they'll still screw him, right? Or am I wrong?
I mean, where's Nick Bosa figure into this?
He's be Rookie of the Year. He's not getting Defensive Player of the Year, right? No. Especially after Ramczyk erases him next week.
I don't know. I mean, like that's just my concern is there's, you know, like you got both the Bosas and what Aaron Donald won it 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah. He could win.
I'm sure there's some people that'll go riding hard for it. Like it'll be a small group of people, so I'm sure he'll get a little bit of love. And
I mean, Nick Bosa is a good player, but he has 8 sacks. And he's not winning Defensive Player of the Year.
That was the only upside to the Saints not being able to recover an onside kick. Cam Jordan got 2 more sacks. He went from 2 to 4. It's nice.
Right. I'm just saying are there some statistics, like I know we're talking sacks here, but is there some statistic that one of those like top guys, you know, either the one or the Bosas or Stephen Gilmore or whatever, that they lead, that some dipshit can use as an excuse for why they deserved it more than Cam Jordan?
No, the only thing with the Patriots was their defense before the Baltimore game was on a historic pace, right? So you could say if this is the best defense in the history of the NFL, the Defensive Player of the Year should be from them. San Francisco, they have a historically great pass defense, but they're not a historically great defense. Another interesting thing, Dave, about
haven't the wise voters proven that, you know, historic record-breaking seasons don't matter worth a shit?
That is correct. See 2011 Saints.
I'm just throwing that out there. Thought I'd contribute that.
Dave, the Saints they sacked Matt Ryan 9 times, which is the most sacks they've had in a game against the team since 2001 when they sacked Chris Chandler 9 times, who also played for the Falcons, which is weird. But the Saints have 40 sacks with 4 games left. Are the Saints going to get to 50 sacks in a season?
I mean, that's only 2.5 sacks a game. I think that's totally feasible.
It's too bad they don't play Atlanta again because they'd get there in one game.
I mean, they were destroyed. The Atlanta offensive line was just caving in. Like, even though they got the onside kick, like I never once for a moment was like Atlanta's going to come back and tie this game. I don't know how y'all felt, but I was just like, they're caving in that offensive line.
Oh, I was convinced Atlanta was going to score a touchdown.
Hey, wait. How many sacks does Cam Jordan have?
13.5.
Okay, then he's second in the NFL.
Who's first?
I hope I'm saying his first name right. Shaquille Barrett from Tampa.
Oh, he might have got a bunch today. He might have got some today, right? How many does he have?
He has 14.5.
Oh, he had 2 sacks today then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bastard. There's no way they're giving Shaquille Barrett Defensive Player of the Year.
No.
You don't get nice things when you play for Tampa. Everybody knows that.
No, and Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, I can't for sure say this, but I would be stunned if it went to a guy on a losing team, or like a team barely in the playoffs in a long time. I mean, same thing with MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. Like you gotta either have ridiculous numbers, and you gotta be a playoff team. Uh, so so Dave, now we need to talk about what the people come to this podcast for. Besides the live show, which is December 14th, it's at Tracey's. It's going to be amazing. Me and my lovely
My wife.
did a walkthrough Friday, on Black Friday. It's amazing, guys. It's going to be great. Everybody that RSVP'd, it's going to be great. We're going to have trivia. I rated this black and gold discount rack. We have Jarris Bird jersey, we have a Willie Snead jersey, and we have a Drew Brees is the GOAT t-shirt. And if you RSVP'd, you're eligible to play the trivia. Kevin Held will be like the master of ceremonies, asking you the questions like a drunk Alex Trebek. So if you RSVP'd, not only do you get a t-shirt from
My wife.
you get to play trivia and possibly win a Jarris Bird jersey. How amazing is that? But Dave,
And who knows? Dave might even make a Shy Tuttle stiff arm t-shirt by then. I'll have it for you.
But Dave, we have listeners
Promise.
all over the country. You got DM'd by one of our fantastic listeners. He wants you to come to his strip club in Dallas and hang out with him. I need to know the details on this story.
I was in Dallas this weekend, and one of our loyal listeners invited me to come out to he manages a club. It's
What kind of club, Dave?
it's a let's see, it's a cabaret. It's a gentleman's club. It's the largest topless club in Dallas, and they do free lunch weekdays, 11 to 2 p.m.
Now, when they say largest, they mean square footage or what?
I don't know, but this was Mr. Brian Hart, the Brian Hart. I appreciate your generosity. If I was had more free time, maybe I would have taken you up on your offer.
Oh, jeez, Dave. I mean, you got to make time to get over there. You know?
Sorry. I'm on a tight schedule when I travel.
The Texans just scored again. They're winning 21-3. Oh, Dave, I can't believe you. Oh, and by the way, we would gladly let a men's gentleman's club sponsor this podcast. We could combo it with the Blue Chew and the Manscaped, and it would just be a triple play of delightfulness. People in the chat room are asking Andrew, how concerned should we be about the offensive line, who seem to have some very bumpy moments against Atlanta Thursday?
Yeah, it all depends on Teron Armstead. I don't think there's any need to be concerned. I mean, I think for the playoffs at least, Armstead and Andres Pete will be back, and so as long as they don't lose anybody else, and as long as they can get to full strength, and that's where the bye comes in. That's where that is so critical, because it gives you that week to rest and recuperate and hopefully get some guys back that have been hurt. So, my assumption is that Andres Pete will be back in the next couple weeks, and I'm hoping that Armstead can play as soon as this week. That he's week to week, I know, and there's the Dr. Chow that is on Twitter and kind of evaluates each player, and he said that it looked like a minor high ankle sprain and that he wouldn't rule out Armstead playing against the 49ers. So I know he's not with the team. He's not diagnosing him. I know he's just basing this off what he sees on the game tape, but I'm hopeful that Armstead can come back for this game. And if he can't, then yeah, it's a big concern for this game. But I'm still reasonably confident that come playoff time, the Saints will be okay and they'll have their guys.
Dave, I can handle the Ted Ginn experience and getting the full Ted Ginn. I can handle that. I don't know if I'm mentally capable of handling the Ted Ginn experience and now the Jared Cook experience both together. That's too much inconsistency and drops for my liver to take.
I don't think that. I think that's an isolated incident. That's not something really. I mean, Ted Ginn, yes, he's been historically. He's a dropper of footballs, but everybody else on the Saints, as far as the receivers are concerned, that's not usually been their MO. So I'm gonna
dropper.
I'm gonna at least try to convince myself that everything's gonna the ship is gonna right itself immediately and swiftly.
You don't sound too
Confident?
too confident at all. I mean, I feel like with Ted Ginn, it's just spin the wheel and I can take it. And that's one issue. The defense has been amazing, and Kevin, we talked about it last podcast, but I saw it Thursday again. I don't like to get into conspiracies, and I don't have the X-File music on my board, so I won't play it. But the Saints seem to be officiated different than other teams. Like, they have more penalties called against them and less penalties called for the other team. I mean, I've never seen a Saints team get penalized like this when they're winning. Can you think of a Saints team that's been penalized in this way, officiated this way, that's been a competent team? I can think of times like with Jim Haslett and Ditka where they got a ton of penalties called them because they were a fucking disaster. But for this team to be 10-2 and be a penalty disaster, I can't recall.
Me neither. I believe you're also asking the wrong guy to remember a specific facet of past teams. Like listen, I can remember that Wayne Gandy was a disaster, but don't ask me to remember. Boy, can you compare and contrast penalties versus this and that? I mean, my warped memory, I'm going to just say no, I can't.
Can either of you, Dave, Andrew, can you think of a Saints team that's been had officiating like this?
No, I cannot. My memory doesn't go back as far as Juge's, but I can't remember anything.
Yeah, Jeff Asher is I think on Twitter he did something where he charted every game and basically viewed the difference between how the Saints have been officiated and how the teams they're playing have been officiated in that same game, and the disparity between number of flags thrown for the Saints versus flags thrown for the other team. I mean it's way skewed, like more than ever. And so yeah, it's a concern. It's shocking. The hands of the face stuff. I mean, there's a bunch of. I mean, there are several where there's really nowhere to hide. Like the couple of those Eli Apple pass interferences. Like, we can complain about the way the game's officiated, but a couple of those are clear pass interference. So, but I do feel like the Saints have been on the losing end of the 50-50 call a whole hell of a lot this year. And, I don't know that I'm ready to go conspiracy theory or play the X-Files music, but it is suspicious and it is concerning, especially as the games kind of get more important as we go along here.
Joseph said Mid-South
I'd rather
Wrestling
it happen
had cleaner
earlier in the
officiating
season, and
Saints.
fight through it than get screwed later in the year. So I'm hoping that the Saints are building some karma and Sean Payton can talk to the officials and be like, hey, look, we've been getting screwed all year, and he can send in tapes to the NFL and it kind of corrects itself. But it hasn't yet.
Well, the frustrating part is the pass interference shit. We saw it in the Atlanta Falcons game. They don't call. Wait, I'm sorry. What was it? Well, in Carolina, they don't call the pass interference on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They review it. They end up calling it, and basically because there was a little contact. He put his arms around him and then let go. And then, of course, in the Falcons game, we see contact in the end zone, and they don't call it. Peyton throws the flag. and you don't get the call, and it's just frustrating because there's just absolutely no inconsistency, and you have no idea what officiating crew is going to call what. And I don't necessarily think it's particularly against the Saints. I just think it's I don't know. I would have thought that all the referees got together and would say, look, on this pass interference stuff, when we review this stuff, if anybody gets their hands on the receiver before the ball gets there, then let's all agree we're gonna call it pass interference. If it wasn't called in the field, then we'll overturn it and we'll make it a pass interference call. If it was called in the field, we'll just leave it as called as stand. Stand is called, whatever. But it's like you in the last two Saints games, you have basically the same infraction. You have a defensive player with the ball in the air, and the defensive player just sort of puts his arm around for a little bit, not holding them for an extended amount of time, and then lets them go, and one gets called and one doesn't get called.
I feel like, Kevin, the referees hate the pass interference review so much that they had a meeting in the
sabotaging
offseason,
the fucking system.
And they're like, we're going to make such a hash of this that they're going to get rid of it. Like, we hate this. We're going to fuck it up so much that they're going to get rid of it.
We're never going to overturn it unless it's the Saints.
Hey, guys, you remember a few years ago when the NFL refs went on strike and the scab refs came in and they were somehow shittier, and then the regular refs came back and the players were like hugging them that first week back? Man, how fucking stupid were we all? I don't know. Just occurred. I don't know. Just thought of it.
I did. Didn't they have the referees when they had the Fail Mary with Green Bay and Seattle? I think.
Yeah.
Was one of them.
Yeah. It was the scab refs doing that one.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not gonna play the Shy Tuttle stiff arming Matt Ryan into oblivion again because I've played it enough.
Why
so
not?
Far.
Why not?
You should play it one more time later.
But Andrew, I want to talk about that. I feel like that play sort of overshadows everything with him, and he is a UDFA. He's playing really well. Like even if you take that out, he's playing really like he's sort of forced his way from a guy who made the roster and played a little bit the first week when Onyemata was out to a guy they're playing him all the time now.
Yeah, and listen, the Saints kind of have a really nice rotation on the defensive line now, and it's not just Shy Tuttle, but I mean Shy Tuttle is playing a lot, and he wouldn't be in there if he wasn't playing well because they have enough guys. That's the thing. Like they don't have to play him. They have enough guys where they could keep a tighter rotation, but every time he goes in there, he makes plus plays, and so they don't really feel like there's a huge drop off when they rotate these guys in and out. And I just feel like on the edge, you feel great about what Davenport's been doing. He kind of had a little bit of a slump, and now he's back and he's playing.
He's my
well
spirit
again.
animal because he only has one good arm and he's still wrecking shit.
Yeah, and he's had 3 sacks the last 2 weeks, so he's ramped up his play. And Sheldon Rankins is starting to get back to being his old self. And Malcolm Brown, great free agent signing. David Onyemata is doing his thing. Obviously, Cam Jordan's the linchpin, the anchor. But then, even Trey Hendrickson, Shy Tuttle, they're doing their thing. So the Saints have a great rotation going in their front four. They have 8 guys, and basically anytime any of them shuffle in, even Mario Edwards, he comes in and he makes a play here or there. So I think they're in a great situation right now on their front four, and they've just done a great job creating depth where they keep these guys fresh because they keep rotating them in and out. And the thing is, I'm seeing a lot of people say, like, well, I don't know that we can compete with the 49ers. We're in for a rude awakening. We can't play like this. Like, I get that the Saints have struggled in these games, but the one thing that they have done without fail for the last 2 years is stop the run. They're the best in the league at stopping the run. That is what they do, and it's because their linebackers are so physical and fast, and their front four dominates in the trenches. And so when you look at the 49ers and what they do offensively, Garoppolo is not, they're not a team that kills you through the air. They're very much a team that tries to establish the run game. And so that's a great matchup because I feel like that goes right into what the Saints do best, which is stop their biggest strength. And so, maybe the 49ers will block well and they will run the ball on the Saints, but I'll have to see it to believe it. And ultimately, yes, that defense is good. I think points are going to be hard to come by, but I think the Saints are strong enough defensively, and it's not like they're having to stop Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. This is not that kind of offense where if this is a knockdown, drag-out, 13-10, win ugly kind of game, the Saints can play the 49ers with the personnel that they have, and it goes exactly back to having guys like Shai Tuttle playing at a high level where you can give Onyemata a breather for 3 snaps because he can come in and the drop-off's not significant.
Dave, I feel like...
Chicken
and I want
tonight.
all of you to answer.
I feel like chicken tonight. Chicken tonight.
I'm starting with you, but I want everybody to answer. And this is a question from Preston Ellis. He's over at the Bird Rights. They'll be with us December 14th at Tracey's. You should come and see us live show. It's going to be awesome. He said, my parents just told me we're not a Super Bowl team and said we've had really bad games. I reminded them that we didn't win a playoff games for over 30 fucking years. Are Saints fans becoming spoiled?
Yes.
His parents said this.
Yes.
That's
Preston, you know what you have to do.
You've got to file for that where you get divorced from your parents.
Yes.
What is that
Emancipation.
called? Yeah. You need to start. Preston, hire a lawyer. Look into emancipation because it's over. Your parents obviously don't love you.
I think that's agreed. Hey, this is a good question from Reichert, Kevin. Would this be the perfect week to have the surviving members of the Dome Patrol, Rip Sam Mills, do the pregame Who Dat chant?
Yes. Only if Ricky Jackson promises to show up in his pork pie hat and says hometown a bunch.
I want that to happen so bad.
I want Ricky Williams to do it, and I want him to throw his Super Bowl ring at the 49ers bench. Take this shit back.
Is Andrew, is one-legged Armstead the real one, not the guy that NBC showed? Is he preferable to Omome? And that's a good question. Where does injured Teron Armstead meet healthy Omome on the flow chart of offensive line? Like, where does one pass the other on the bar?
So basically, how fucked up does Armstead have to be worse than Omome?
Yes.
I mean, it's not just the physical part. It's the understanding your assignment. It's knowing where you're supposed to be on a certain play. So there's a whole other level of it, which is just IQ and chemistry with the guy to the right of you and understanding how to play that I think is tough on a guy like Patrick Omame. Omame is a guard by design. I mean, he's got the length to play tackle, and in a pinch, the Saints have put him in there. But he's really a guard trying to play tackle, and it's not his natural position. So I thought he competed really well, and I thought, Atlanta, they don't have superior rushers. They have Tack McKinley and they have Vic Beasley, and those are fancy names, and they're both first-round picks, but it hasn't really happened this year for them, and they've been mediocre at best. And so the assignment, I do think the Saints maybe benefited a little bit this past week from Omame having an easier assignment, but obviously going up against the 49ers is a completely different story. And I just think I would take Armstead almost in any state over. And the flu is different. I mean, yes, he was terrible when he had the flu, but that affects your energy, and then he's ready to collapse or whatever. So, and he can't go 4 quarters. So the flu is different. But if his knee is banged up or his ankle is banged up or he's got a torn bicep, which he played with half the year last year, it seemed like, but I just don't think anything that is compromised on Armstead is going to mean he's worse than Omame. And that's, again, Omame filled in well, and it's not to criticize him, but I think you've got a superstar Pro Bowl left tackle, and if he can go at all, he needs to go. This is the kind of game they need him.
Kevin, I asked people to name the Shy Tuttle play. Here are the suggestions: the Tuttle shuffle, the turkey stuff arm, the pick stiff.
My personal favorite was Flat Ryan.
You know what?
I like the pick stiff.
Pick stiff was the best of those three, but I think I like Flat Ryan like a little bit more on that.
All right, go ahead and play it again.
Oh, deception! Oh, deception! Matt Ryan! Oh mein Gott! Wie eine Puppe gibt den Stiffarm und fliegt auf den Boden. Hör doch mal auf.
He also sounds like he's getting tickled. Like, which is weird. I love Germans so much. I love German people almost as much as I love German food. Here's a question for Dave that's interesting. I know I shouldn't bother with off-season questions in December, but I'm bidding a Brandon Cooks vibe from Alvin Kamara. Do you put it past Peyton to move him in the off-season? Jesus Christ, Brandon. Could you be...
I don't know. I think Brandon might be saying that, you know, maybe because, and I was a little disappointed, but I mean, he made a business decision on that.
The onside kick.
Big time.
I mean, so, I mean, that's the only piece of evidence that would give me that feeling. But otherwise, I mean, I just feel like if you're talking about his lack of production lately, or maybe he just hasn't seemed like he's been playing like himself. I mean, I just think it's been like that since his injury. I just don't know if he's really ever gotten back to 100% yet.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Alvin Kamara is his contract is going to be much, much, much more difficult than Michael Thomas, because Michael Thomas, the Saints made the decision a long time ago. They were like, we're fine making you the highest paid wide receiver and giving you a ton of money because you are a cornerstone of the franchise, and we know your work ethic. We know that you probably, if you stay healthy, you probably aren't going to have a steep decline even into your late 20s, and it was fine. So there was never a doubt. With Kamara, we love him. He's fun and all this, but there's a ton of difficult issues with him with running backs and stuff. So it's just going to be way more complicated, and that was stunning on that onside kick that he made, that they put him on this. I mean, Andrew, special teams is mostly just want to, and to have a guy on the hands team just to do that, it was sort of stunning.
Yeah, I hear you. He doesn't have a lot of experience doing it, so that's the part that I think that's tough. Is you throw a guy like Kamara in a situation like that, and he's not used to doing it, and all of a sudden he's like, "Here, run." I mean, he's done kickoff returns and punt returns, so it's not like he won't play special teams. But I just think that assignment is pretty unique, and unless you're totally committed to what you need to do, I mean, obviously he was kind of checked out there for whatever reason. But I just think the thing with Kamara, so just going back to the original question, we'll have all offseason to overanalyze this to death. The short answer to your question, in my opinion, is we saw Sean Payton trade away Jimmy Graham. We saw him trade away Reggie Bush. We saw him trade away Darren Sproles. So never say never. I think if he was able to get something, if he decided, you know what, we can't fool with this contract negotiation, he's going to want too much and it's not worth it, let's go get a first-round pick, then I think they would consider doing it. And I think we need to be honest with ourselves that may be a reality with Marshawn Lattimore too. So I'm not saying it will happen with either player. I'm not saying it will happen at all with either of them, but there's a chance that one or both could get traded away if the Saints decide they don't want to sign them long-term. Now, the reality is, how this season plays out, I think has huge weight in any decision they make this offseason. And do they win a Super Bowl? How that affects Drew Brees? There's tons of different ways this can play out. So I think it's impossible at this point to speculate until we see how things play out this season.
Dave, did you just rip open a bag of Sour Patch Kids?
Yes, I did. Sour Patch watermelon.
Nice.
All right,
Did you see that Dave's neighbor brought him a Bloody Mary with Funyuns in it?
Oh my
And and homemade beef jerky.
What was better, the Bloody Mary with the Funyuns or the beef jerky?
No. The beef jerky was in the Bloody Mary.
Oh,
Also.
okay.
The only thing missing were Sour Patch Kids and Skittles, right, Dave?
That's no. That's like dessert. You don't mix that with the Bloody Mary.
I have to say,
It's not amateur hour here, Juge.
I was at my brother for Thanksgiving, and I'm not an eggnog person at all. And
I'm drinking eggnog right now, actually.
my brother, he had Jack Daniel's eggnog. Oh no, it was Southern Comfort eggnog that you buy in the grocery that doesn't have alcohol in it. You add the Southern Comfort to it. It is fucking magnificent. It's the eggnog that's perfect for people that don't like eggnog.
Well,
Dude,
I'm a
listen, hang on a
Pennsylvania
sec.
I'm a Pennsylvania Dutch guy myself.
Hang on a second. Can we trust the tastes of a guy who drinks Jim Beam honey and whatever the hell else
Cherry
soda?
Coke. Yeah.
No,
And
I'm
hang on
drinking.
hang on a second, Dave. Don't you get up on your high horse here because you're drinking a Bloody Mary with fucking Funyuns in it? What the hell's going on here?
It's like a Thanksgiving tradition. It's like once a year.
No. I'll tell you what a Thanksgiving tradition is. Starcade back in the 80s. That was a Thanksgiving tradition before it got moved thanks to Survivor Series, which then became the Thanksgiving tradition. But I digress.
You know, we're talking about wrestling now.
No, I was gonna
Yes.
say, I do for the holidays. I do honey Jim Beam and cinnamon flavored Coke. It's the diabetes holiday
Cinnamon flavored
drink
Coke.
that
What-
all the kids are
You
doing.
wait, you buy that cinnamon flavored Coke?
You are
they
a
have
sick,
cinnamon
sick
flavored
man,
Coke.
Ralph.
You buy
Where
it.
do you buy that?
It's you.
Where
They
did
have
you
it
see
like the little mini Coke cans. It's special for the holidays, Dave.
You are a sick man.
Jesus.
So you drink the cinnamon Coke and the Jim Beam honey. It's fantastic. It's like getting drunk while eating a Cinnabon. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? So
Might as well
look,
just drink eggnog.
I could. I don't like eggnog though.
It's
The
delicious.
end of it.
It's
But
so
I like
creamy.
the Southern Comfort eggnog because it doesn't have that eggnog ending flavor. So listen, before we get to our picks of the Saints 49ers, guys, mybookie.ag is the place to go for online gambling. You can gamble on anything you want. You can be like me today and foolishly bet on Everton to win at Leicester City and get your heart ripped out in the last 15 minutes. You can bet props. You can bet LSU Georgia for the SEC championship game. And right now, you get a 100% sign up bonus. Use the code CHAIR. 100% sign up bonus. That's right. You put in 100, you get an extra 100 to play. So go to mybookie.ag today. Use the code CHAIR. Get a 100% freaking sign up bonus. You play, you win, you get paid. All right. Andrew, the Saints,
Yes, sir.
San Francisco. Saints are a 3.5-point favorite. Who you got?
Yeah, I think so. We've complained about the officiating. We've complained about how the Saints maybe play down to their opposition a little bit. We've seen that. But again, they're 10-2 for a reason. They've gone on the road to Chicago and they've won. And I know that we all think they're terrible now, but they were a playoff team last year. They went on the road to Seattle and they won with Teddy Bridgewater. Seattle's a team that's lost 2 games all year. And Seattle beat the 49ers. So anyone that tells me the Saints are not capable of beating the 49ers at home in New Orleans,
And
I'm
Garoppolo
sorry.
was a train wreck against Seattle because they couldn't run the ball.
I'm not buying it. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. So, I think moving the football will be tough. But I think Drew Brees will do just enough. I think Kamara and Michael Thomas will clean it up a little bit. They'll play better than they did on 4 days rest. I'm going Saints 20, 49ers 13. I think it'll be a hard-fought game, and my player of the game, I'm going to go with Demario Davis, who comes up with a huge 4th-and-1 tackle. We'll say inside the 5 to finish the game.
Kevin, the Saints 49ers, who you got?
God.
The Jeopardy music. I could play that.
I got it. Saints 20, 49ers.
Go ahead, keep going.
I'm going to say Cam Jordan gets a sack late in the game that pushes the 49ers out of field goal range and forces the 49ers to throw up a deep ball. And
ball's deep.
Right. And all of us have heart attacks and nearly die because we're concerned that there's going to be a pass interference call. But the surviving members of our families get to rejoice that there was no pass interference called.
They must have not thrown it to Eli Apple.
I didn't start Deshaun Watson in fantasy. I am the worst fantasy player in America. Dave.
Clearly.
Dave. Saints 49ers, who you got? Dave?
Unmute yourself.
All right.
Stop eating Funyuns.
I'm not eating Funyuns. Well, I think the path to success for the Saints is like we discussed earlier. I think they need to try and make Jimmy Garoppolo win the game. They need to try and shut down the run game for the Niners, which I think plays into their strengths. So I watch the Niners play and they make me nervous because they look so good. But at the same time, I can also talk myself into the Saints being the better football team, and that's what I'm going to do right now. And I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, like Jude said. I think it's going to be actually even more low-scoring. I think I'm going to go with 17-13 Saints, and I'm going to give it to Lutz. It's going to come down to Lutz.
Y'all are all wrong. Saints 38, San Francisco 38-13. Fucking Drew Brees is gonna conjure up oh my god, he's amazing. He's gonna go like 28 of 32 for 310 and 4, and everybody in America is gonna go, oh shit, the Saints are fucking good. I forgot about that because they've been talking about San Francisco and Baltimore and Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees is just going to fucking light San Francisco up and burn them to the ground. And I don't know if that means going forward that Drew Brees is just going to be amazing. I just know that Drew Brees, from what I've seen the last 4 weeks, he can still conjure up the magic. I don't know if he can do it consistently and run it out and the Saints can win a Super Bowl, but he's going to do it Sunday, and it's going to feel amazing. And we are going to be just chest puffed out, thinking the Saints are going 14-2 and are going to murder everyone in the NFC in the playoffs. That's what it's going to be. That's my prediction. Saints 38-13. Drew Brees looks amazing. Before we get out of here, guys, you can't RSVP for the live show, but as Dave, we put in the shirt order with Dave. We have some extra
The order
shirts.
has been placed.
It has been placed. I added a little because Dave was like, these numbers, they're all even. So I added a few extra. So if people kind of want to come in and we have some shirts and you didn't RSVP, we can give a couple people some shirts. So join us live. It'll be fun. We're going to give out prizes. We're going to get drunk. We're going to have a mic where you can ask questions. It's going to be ridiculous. And Tracey's, the upstairs space they have is freaking amazing. It's going to be a great night. Join us on December 14th. We're all going to be there. We're going to hang out before. We're going to get drunk after. It's going to be great. So join us. So, guys, this has been the live show. We did it Sunday night for fun. Thanks for joining us. I got to play it one more time to take us out.
Oh, deception! Matt Ryan! Oh mein Gott! Wie eine Puppe gibt er ihn den Stiffer ab und er fliegt auf den Boden. Hör doch mal auf.
Until next week, the bar is closed. I love it so much.
Achtung, Matt Ryan!